Well, okay guys, welcome back. So in my last video, we reviewed this case, unboxed it, and it's overall a strong case. So now we're going to take the stuff out of this build, which, this case seemed like pretty normal size to me until I put it beside this one. This one's at least 4 inches taller and probably 2 inches longer. So this one is a Thermaltake V3. It's got some things I don't like about it. For one, it's really small. It's made out of aluminum as opposed to steel, which this one is. And it has no thumb screws. This is one I put in it. So it's good for a starter build. Other than that, nah. See, the other problem I had with it is this foot here keeps falling off, causing my case to, well, fall over. So, big selling point for me on this one, again, a couple things I forgot to mention in the other video, but a big selling point for me were those doors, and you'll see why when it's all together. So this one, just for those of you who want to know, this case has a 120mm fan support on the end. As it's not advertised as that, but one fits there. 120mm fan there, 120mm fan there, one there, and a 120mm here. Now I wanted to mount my rad here, so I had to actually drill another hole. And I was only able to get 3 screws in, which sucks. But so my build itself has a Thermaltake R2 700-watt power supply. It's non-modular, which I don't know why I bought a non-modular power supply, but whatever. We got a 1TB Western Digital Caviar Black optical drive, which isn't worth talking about. 8 gigs of Corsair Vengeance low-profile RAM. Sapphire R9 270X motherboard. Asus A55-M FM2 socket. USB 3.0 compatible, even though it doesn't have a USB 3.0 header, which seems odd to me. So this will be a future upgrade in the next little while, probably before the new year. My cooler is a Corsair H80i, and my CPU is an AMD A5600K APU clocked at 3.9 GHz. So I'm going to start by taking this stuff apart, and we'll start the process of getting into the other unit. So guys, while I'm doing this, a couple of changes that I'm going to make to my build are, instead of just having the 1TB Western Digital Black, I'm going to have the 1TB drive, and later I'll add an SSD, but not today. I'm also going to be having a 200 gig Seagate Barracuda. I got a bunch of those Barracuda drives out of old computers. Once people got to be repaired and sucked. So I'm going to put the 200 gig Seagate Barracuda in there, and that'll act as my media drive for movies and pictures and such. And then I got about 40 gigs of music, so I have a brand new Seagate Barracuda 80GB drive that I got for a customer, and the customer decided to just scrap the computer in the end. So that'll also be going in it just for music. And as you can see on this case, there's I don't know why, but there's 2 extra screws at the bottom to take out this power supply. So I'm gonna keep on with this, and we'll be back when it's done. Okay, just another thing I wanted to point out about this case is that there is less than an 1/8 of an inch clearance here for your wires to come across the back, which I have a non-modular power supply, so that's an absolute rat's nest. So as a result, my side panel here is actually warped, and it has no integrity left in it at all. You can hear that as I just shake it back and forth. Not good. Another thing I wanted to make mention of is holding your screws in these. This is the one out of my old case, this one. These magnetic bowls really work well. I got this one in a screwdriver set about 3 years ago from Canadian Tire, which is, if you don't live in Canada, you don't have it, but it's a store. It's kind of like Walmart, but they sell more tools and outdoor stuff. So, definitely something you need to have, because you don't lose anything, and it can actually stick to your case. Just be careful where you put it, obviously. So a definite thing to have. Okay, so I got the old chassis pretty well dismantled. We got that, and just a bunch of crap. I was hoping to be able to leave the rat on there so I wouldn't have to reapply the thermal paste, but it was just getting in the way and I didn't want to damage the fins on it, so it was easier just to pull it out. Now, this is a Micro ATX motherboard, which might seem odd to some people that I'm putting a Micro ATX motherboard in a full-size case, but I don't know if I mentioned this, but this motherboard will be upgraded very soon, before the new year, hopefully, or shortly after, and there will be a video on that. So motherboard and CPU are being upgraded in this unit. So I'm going to start by putting everything back into this one. Okay, so this is where we're at so far. Got my I/O shield installed. Now, if you're a first-time builder, believe it or not, this is actually the most common thing to forget. I put my motherboard in, forgot it, took the motherboard out. So I take the whole thing apart. After it was when I went to plug everything in that I noticed. And actually made a video as I was building this, but the quality was even worse than it is now. It was filmed on an old BlackBerry, so. Then I had to RMA my motherboard. So I took everything out, and I put the new one back in, I did the same thing. So don't forget that. So I definitely made sure not to forget it this time. I got my CPU all cleaned up, and my PSU mounted. Probably should have dusted this stuff off first, but that's okay. So actually the motherboard isn't actually that bad of a fit in there. It's not as bad as I thought it would be anyhow. Now on the other one, a full ATX motherboard would have come right to this. On this one you got about 2 inches of space by the looks of it. And we got another 3 inches of space up here or so. And there's cable management holes here. Some rubber grommets here would have been nice too. But that's okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is start getting this thing wired up. I got 2 cable management holes here, which is awesome. So I'm going to get this wired up now. So my next update here, I got the power supply pretty well wired back there. Unfortunately it's all colored, so I'm going to get a modular power supply soon. At some point. And of course the wires will all be black and it'll look a lot nicer than this, but there's not much I can do about that for now. I mean, I could cut all the connectors off and redo them all, but I'm not going to bother with that. Same thing up here. If it were black, it'd look nicer. Other than that, it looks fairly clean. I mean, the camera won't focus, but it looks fairly clean. I got my 1TB hard drive there. The 80 gig will probably go in the middle one, so I'll just use this sled for now, or I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. So here I have my SATA connector for up there, and it'll also be the SATA connector for my pump and various other things. So that's where I'm at now. So I'm just going to keep on going with this, and I'll be back. Well, here's the finished product. The reason you're seeing the glare is actually the window's closed. Got some dust on it that I collected already. Now, I've tried to put my optical drive in there and I couldn't get the drive to go in all the way. So I'm not sure why that wouldn't go in all the way, but it wouldn't, so I just gave up on that. Not a big deal. So cable management is alright. It's not the greatest, but what can you do with a non-modular power supply with yellow cables? The water system looks alright. So it's time to fire it up. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.